Okay, so this is the first camera that I have ever built, and it's pretty rad. If you've ever wanted to build your own camera and take photos with it, then this video is gonna be for you. Let's check it out. Okay, so what is this thing? Well, this is a DIY plastic 35mm camera. I got it for my birthday last week, and to be honest with you, when I first got it, I had zero expectations. But after playing around a little bit with the assembly and taking it out to shoot and getting the film back, I realized it's pretty cool. It's not for everybody. It's very low-mo, very lo-fi. But if you have patience and you like assembling things and seeing how things are put together, then I think this camera is definitely worth a buy. So before showing you my struggles with the assembly, let's talk a little bit about the specs and what this thing can do. This DIY Twins reflex camera has an f11 lens that is pretty blurry and has a ton of vignette to it, but it does work. It also boasts a 1/150th of a second shutter speed, which I'm not sure how they could guarantee because the shutter itself is actually a mechanism that you make with a screw, some plastic, and a rubber band. So I think they're just guesstimating there. Okay, so now we're gonna dig into the absurdity of the assembly. You're gonna need at least a screwdriver, probably a pair of scissors, and a friend to keep you sane. Something to note about this assembly before putting it together. The box says it takes 1 hour, but it took us a solid 2 hours to put together, and we were lightning focused. We were chugging coffee, and we got it done, but just so you know, it does take more than an hour. Another thing that you need to know is that while the title of the directions are in English, they're actually in Chinese. So what we used was a little app on our phone, and it helped us with some of the bits that we couldn't quite solve. But it says that there's about 7 steps or so to completing this, and it's mostly easy to understand except for the assembly of the shutter. The shutter, from what we found online, is notoriously difficult to put together. It's a little bit finicky, and I just suggest that you continue playing and look at a few tutorials online. There were about 3 different times when we almost gave up on the whole project together, but we fought through, and we're extremely excited when we finished it. So please, if I could recommend anything before buying this camera, it's to not give up. So don't give up. The assembly of the Twins reflex camera is actually the first reason that I think someone should buy one. If you're trying to teach a kid or a student how to put a camera together or how a camera works, I think this would be a fantastic buy for you because you can really see all the intricacies and you can actually see how simple a camera really is. So one of the coolest part of the assembly is actually looking through the viewfinder. And if you're familiar with cameras at all, you're gonna realize how closely related this is to an actual Twins reflex, where you actually look down while shooting rather than up at your eye. And it's such a joy when you actually first look down the camera and you feel like you actually accomplished something. I put a little comparison here with my Yashica 124, and you can really see the difference in clarity. While you can look through the reflex lens, you're gonna notice a super big downgrade in quality. And while it's not the worst thing in the world, it is a little tight to nail focus, and we're gonna see that next with the photos. The recommended film is ISO 200 or 400, and I saw a lot of people have great success with 200. So I went with Kodak Gold 200 because I planned on shooting this in full sunlight. Okay, so now that we got this thing all assembled, let's go check out some photos. Okay, so we spent 2 days shooting this Twins reflex camera, and the first thing we noticed is that when we held it, it felt really cheap in our hands. So when you hold this thing, you gotta be really gentle with it because all of the little pieces can wiggle and jiggle around. As for the photos, you can see here that ours had a light leak. Now, I really appreciated the light leak because it made our photos look really nostalgic and like they were from another era. So just be warned that this camera is more like a toy, so results may vary. The focusing on this camera is really tricky, and you kind of got to tilt the camera to get a specific angle. I miss focus about 75% of the time, and I think that's about normal for this camera. Another tip while shooting is that you're going to want to hold the camera as still as possible. You may even want to get a tripod, and believe it or not, there's a tripod mount on the side of this thing. Holding it still is going to prevent those little shakes in the final result. We shot these first few frames at golden hour, and I'd highly suggest it. You get some really cool silhouetting, and the colors really pop. Also, if you get light leaks, and the yellow light spills actually add to the golden hour aesthetic. On our second day, we hit up a few cafes, and you can see here that I nailed a few double exposures. You gotta make sure that you wind after every shot. Some people prefer before, but for me it's after, and I just kept forgetting, honestly. Overall, we had a lot of fun with these images, and we had a lot of outcomes that we weren't expecting. It was a really cool surprise when we flipped through each photo. So if you're into unpredictability in your photography, then I think this camera is going to be for you. Would I recommend this camera? Yeah, absolutely. For a one-day project, I think it's perfect for anyone that wants to see the inner workings of a camera. And I also think it's a fun project for you and a friend. Just a few hours to assemble, and then you're off to the races. Is this camera perfect? Absolutely not. And I think that's what a lot of people are going to appreciate about it. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.